Good evening. We're going to get the study session going. We have a resolution, a council-sponsored resolution, 26-719. I'm going to turn it over to Councilmember Stewart if he wants to talk on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a whole lot to say on it, but this resolution is basically that if the city manager would want to do a separation agreement beyond what their spending authority is, which is currently $100,000, they would have to get city council approval on that. I'm not trying to impede on anything with personnel with the city manager. It's just simply a monetary thing, and I think there should be guardrails. Thank you.
All right, next is citizens' request. I've not seen any, so if there's no citizens' request to speak on the resolution, we'll move to presentations.
I'm sorry, Mayor. We just usually give an opportunity for any discussion
Okay.
amongst the council before we move
Okay.
to citizen requests.
Sorry
in case
about
there's
that.
anything anybody else wants to ask or talk about.
I'm sorry. Any further discussion on the resolution? Mr. Mayor. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, with this, any concerns or thoughts you might have?
No, we've discussed this internally and with the law department, and I don't have any objection with the resolution or the policy yet.
Mr. Mayor, I did have, maybe I should have mentioned this previously, I did have discussion with the city manager as well as the city attorney before it was put on to make sure we were in compliance with the charter.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I also spoke with Councilman Stewart and Jeremy about this resolution, made sure we were all good to go, and sounds good. I look forward to supporting it.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All right, moving on to, I'm going to turn this over now to City Manager Troy Anderson for the presentations.
Honorable Mayor, first item on presentations tonight is the 2025 Annual Police Report. Call on Chief Brinkley.
I'm missing a slide. Missing that slide. Give me 1 second, please.
Yes, Councilman.
Mr. City Manager, if we're having technical difficulties, are we able to bounce down to number 2, then come back to PD for their presentation?
Yeah, I'm going to refer to my technical team. If we've got the next presentation for the semi-annual report, yeah, absolutely, we can reorganize the agenda if that's the will of the body.
Yeah,
Is that what you want us to do?
I think we should.
If we're not ready.
Yeah, if we're not
Yep.
ready.
All right, let's go ahead and skip down to number 2, and then once we sort out the technical difficulties, we'll come back to the annual police report. The next item on the agenda is a semi-annual report of the Independence Park Commission. Call up Diane Kaiser.
Let's see, I hit which button do I hit? That one, okay, great. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to tell you what a terrific job the Parks and Recreation Department is doing for the City of Independence. So we'll just go through a few slides here and show you what's happening. So we start with just the overview. The commission that I'm the chairperson of was created in 1999 by ordinance. Our primary mission is to act in an advisory capacity to the council and also to review the status of the projects funded by the Parks Improvement Sales Tax. So we want to kind of bring you up to date on how all that's going. Let's see, there we go. So here are the revenues for the first 6 months of the fiscal year. So you can see that they're all pretty much on target, being about half of what we expect for the year for the budget. Don't know if you have any particular questions about that one, but we'll keep moving along if you don't. And these are the expenses, again, pretty much on track for 6 months of the year. And then the fund balances. Okay with all those numbers? So let me tell you about what we're doing. So the Parks and Recreation Master Plan was begun in January of 2025. It was completed just this past March. Started with a community profile and surveys, an inventory of the parks and trails and green spaces that the park manages. The recreation program was analyzed. A financial analysis was done, and then a strategic plan was put together, which the council approved on April the 8th. So you've all, well, I don't know, the old council would have had an opportunity to pursue that. So let me tell you about park maintenance, which the sales tax funds. So we have 40 parks and green spaces. There's lots of mowing and trimming and maintenance that takes place on those spaces. We have 28 playgrounds and 2 splash pads, 42 basketball, tennis, and pickleball courts, 21 baseball, softball, and t-ball fields, 19 football and soccer fields, 30 miles of trails, 984 acres of parks and green spaces, and 4 recreation facilities. And hopefully you've all accessed at least some of those as, in your own recreation programs. So we have some of the things that we've actually done in the field. We have new turf at the Clothier Park. Replaced the walking bridge on the at the play feature on Waterfall Park, replaced fences at Dickinson Park and George Owens Park, repaired park restrooms damaged by fireworks, repaired damage to the Waterfall Park fishing pier and numerous parks from a July storm, and replaced and upgraded vandalized wiring and plumbing at athletic parks. I can tell you that the repair of the restrooms and the replacement of the vandalized wiring are a major ongoing concern that we struggle with. It just seems like a waste of money to have to keep putting money into the care of those or the repair of those places that are just, I don't know why that happens, but it does. During the fall and winter months, what does the staff do? They sharpen blades, winterize their mowers, do equipment maintenance, trim trees and remove dead trees in parks and along the trails. They do CDL training for the new staff, assist with moving staff, office furniture, and records out of City Hall into the municipal commons, and daily challenges with vandalism, graffiti, and homelessness. Lots of good recreation programs in these categories. We have aquatics, arts and culture, community and special events, continuing education and life skills, fitness and wellness, nature education and outdoor adventure, and sports, youth and family out of school enrichment. So here are some more specific examples of recreation activities. The 4th of July celebration. Popsicles in the Park is popular. The new theater trip to Clue, Dragonfly Days, Hummingbird Festivals, Plant Academy, the UV Night Hike, Fall Bird Survey, building bluebird boxes, Santa Fe Park Tennis Tournament. So hopefully you've participated in some of these, or at least been exposed to them in some sense over the past year. Continued examples, Farmers Market, the Winter Market, Toddler Town, My First Camp Out, Fall Craft Classes, Best Little Arts and Crafts Show, Annual Cultural and Heritage Skate Competition, Senior Autumn Adventure Trip, Holiday Lights Trip, Winter Solstice Torch Lit Hike, and Senior Christmas Celebration. And again, I hope you've participated in some of those. We've done a great job, I think, this past year of getting out the word. We've published the first annual report, began designing the spring and summer 2026 Park and Recreation Activity Catalog, and hopefully you've seen this. It's quite it's a great document, provides lots of information about the programs that are available through this summer and early spring. Launched a new Instagram account for Parks and Recreation. We manage 5 Facebook and 2 Instagram accounts, gained followers for all of those accounts, continued development of sponsorship programs and policies. So the commission meets once a quarter and receives these kinds of reports at every meeting, and so we can assure you that the money is being well spent on the tax improvement tax, parks improvement tax, and that the staff is doing a really great job. So thank you for the opportunity to share this with you. Any questions or?
Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
do we have any participant numbers for these events? Any sort of head counts or anything like that?
They're reported at our commission meetings. They keep really good records of all of those. So we have them and could
Awesome.
provide them if you were interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Honorable Mayor, the next item on the agenda, item number 3, the semi-annual report of the Stormwater Oversight Committee. Going to call up R. Scott Smith.
We can do PD now. We can do PD.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, it sounds like that maybe we've got the tech back up for the 2025 annual police report.
All right.
So if we can go back to
Number 1?
presentation number 1.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Wow, I caused a lot of problems there. I apologize there. Lead, go left or right? Oh, it's not working.
Don't click it again. Just here, just here.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Apologize for the delay. I'm going to present the annual report for 2025. So it is my honor and pleasure to present the annual report for 2025. Tonight, myself and also Deputy Chief Sumstead and also Peterson will provide an overview of our crime data for 2025, as well as share some of our successes for the year and also some of the accomplishments that's happened in the police department. So I'm going to kick things off a little bit first to talk about some of the issues, areas that I focused on when I first joined the police department 7 months ago. It'll be real quick. After which Deputy Chief Peterson and also Sumstead will provide each of their substantive operational review of the areas of responsibility, and I think it's good for them to be able to come up and actually do that as well, too. Like most new police chiefs, what I did was focus and try to meet as many people as I could in October when I started. And a lot of it is just to get to know everybody, but also to identify some of the areas that need to be addressed immediately, but also look at some stuff for future consideration. So much of that, I'll summarize most of it. Most of it came down to better communication across the organization, both top down, up down, up down, up. Greater leadership, accountability, and direction by all of us in leadership positions in the PD. The need for leadership training, development, and also succession planning. They really wanted more consistent and fair promotional processes, but also wanted us to address the vacancy issues. At the time when I first started, we had about 25 vacancies at the time. So that was kind of the main focuses that we've been working on. So to address some of the communication issues, I initially established a weekly Chiefs newsletter. That's something I've done previously in other organizations, and that's helped to kind of convey the word directly from the chief's office, what's going around the organization. A lot of things that we put in there varies from week to week, but a lot of it is related to technology issues, things that may be working, things that are not working, and things we need to address. A lot of it is communication to make sure we make everybody aware of what we are in the progress of that. Budget, I spent a lot of information and actually submitting everything we submit to the budget for the city. So know exactly what we're submitting, but also what our prioritizations are. Obviously, we can't afford everything we ask for, but we try to concentrate on what the needs are and not just the wants. And then any policy changes that we have in the organization, is good to hear that directly coming from the police chief. The pursuit policy is one of those things that I put in the Chief Weekly to make sure they're aware of what we're working on. Promotions, since COVID, we have gotten away from, as an organization, doing formal promotional processes, inviting area departments in there, city council, and actually doing a personal ceremony. So we've actually upped that, and also we did award ceremonies as well too, and also attaboys. And then last but not least, one of the biggest things we've been working on since I've started is actually, we had a police assessment in 2025, and I can proudly say that we've actually completed that assessment here. So I'm going to go over, I try to go over each one of these areas as quickly as possible, but I want to give you an idea of the things that we addressed. So a little bit of background. In 2025, the city contracted with Legal and Liability Risk Management Institute, also known as LLRMI, to perform an operational assessment of the police department. Now, they identified several key areas of focus and provided recommendations for us to address the concerns. The assessment emphasized areas related to officer and public safety, accountability, transparency, and also legal defensibility. Now, these are the 8 areas of focus, and I'll provide a quick update on each one of these. You remember we did a press release, I think, a couple months ago, announcing what our process was by going through these. These are the final results of these 8 areas of focus. In 2025, IPD officers involved in a foot pursuit, vehicle pursuit, and also involved shooting death all in one night, where the acting chief or the deputy chief were unable to respond to the scene. So since then, we made some changes to the related IPD policies to make it very clearly define what level of response is required for specific instances. We want to make sure we codify in the policy if we have an officer-involved shooting, a death, a major disaster, a civil unrest, in custody death, armed barricades, hostage situation. These are things that we will make a chief's notification. Either the chief or his designee will come to the scene. So it was important for us to complete that recommendation from the assessment assessors. Going down, next one is use of force and after-action reviews. This is one of the ones where the assessors really recommended that we review our processes and provide a little bit more objective analysis. So here, the Internal Affairs established a standard for an early warning system that would trigger additional reviews of response of force. So when they use force against someone, they actually file a report, use of force report. Supervisors review that report, and normally that's about the end of it. Unless something happens, we have an internal affairs investigation, and then and only then will it go to the police chief. What we've done is actually provided an opportunity. So when we have an officer who has quite a few uses of force in a quarter, a lot of times we won't be aware of it. So the early warning system, what it does, we actually have a trigger of 4 instances. So if one single officer has 4 or more uses of force in 1 quarter, we'll get alert on that. That alert triggers us to make sure we have more of a detailed operational review. So what we're looking for is to go back and look at those 4 instances. What was the actual issue that caused the use of force? Did they comply with policy? And number 2, which we haven't done a whole lot, is review the supervisor's response to all 4 of those to make sure that we're following policy and protocol. If there's additional training that need to be made, additional direction, we can make those reviews. That's something we haven't always done. So we actually do the reviews, and it goes to the sergeant, the captain, and the major, but it rarely goes up to the police chief and the deputy chiefs. So we've changed this and put the early warning system in there to make sure we have greater oversight. Next one is body-worn cameras. The assessors, when they came in, I'll give you an overview, they pulled reports, documents, police reports, pursuits. They reviewed video cam, body cams. One of those reviews, they looked at a body cam of a use of force involving a deployment of taser. With the officer's body cam failure, they failed to capture the video of the incident. So upon further review of this incident, it was discovered that the officers placed his body cam in sleep mode. And the whole purpose for that is to reserve the battery life. If you leave it running the entire time, it drains the battery from the body cam. The assessors wants to review that and actually change the policy, but upon further review, we found out that there's really nothing wrong with the camera. We thought we couldn't retrieve that data. We've gone back to make sure that we could retrieve it, and we believe that is adjusted. So no policy changes and actually no changes to the equipment. It was one of those things we had to tweak internally to make sure we can capture that video. So a lot of times when we engage with someone, you've got the pre-event data that you can grab. In this instance, we didn't have it for that one instance. So we resolved this issue as well, too. And then vehicle pursuit policy is probably one of the most controversial things that I've had to address in my time here. So the assessors reviewed a sample of the IPD pursuits and advised the department to review the vehicle policy and procedures to ensure that we continue to weigh the seriousness of the offense. Basically what that is, what we're chasing for. Is it a traffic offense? Is it equipment violation? Is it a felony violation? Is it armed robbery? What are we doing? But also ensure we continue to weigh the seriousness of the offense of the underlying crime and whether the risk of the pursuit outweighs the public safety benefits. Example, 16-year-old steals a car and we chase him. Is it worth the risk of that person, unexperienced driver, young person, he T-bones an innocent citizen in the intersection, that person dies. Is it really worth pursuing a 16-year-old for a stolen vehicle when it could cost someone's life? Now, these are complicated scenarios and situations, and I'll talk a little bit about how we changed or why we changed the policy. When we look at this, we started to go back. We convened a working group to review and revise our pursuit policy, and we really emphasize on restricting pursuits for low-level offense. That's number one. Also, strengthen the supervisor control of those instances, and what we've done there is, if they call out a pursuit, normally it's always customary, or actually by policy, the supervisor has to get on the air, actually, what's the reason for the pursuit, what do we have, what's the speed, road conditions, and all that stuff. Now, when we change policy to provide more oversight for the supervisors is, if we don't get a response from an acting supervisor or on-duty supervisor, by policy, we will terminate that pursuit. We want to make sure we have a supervisor, we're holding them accountable to make sure the policy and procedures are being followed. But if that's not in place, we want to make sure that we terminate that unless it's something severely dangerous. So we update it and we allow for pursuits for dangerous felonies or when occupants present a clear and present danger to others. Now, this is consistent. It's not something we just made up or just got out thin blue air. This is consistent with national policy recommendations and also regional agencies, other agencies in our area, as far as Kansas City Police Kansas, Kansas City Police Missouri, Lee Summit, and also Blue Springs. Now, our internal affairs or professional standards will randomly audit 5 pursuits every single month to make sure we have a follow-up. We can look at those pursuits to make sure, once again, that we're following policy. Did the officer follow policy? And then also, did the supervisor monitor the pursuit the way we intended for that to be monitored? So that was the gist of it. I think most of you, maybe not new council members, were here when I did the actual presentation for the pursuit policy, but this is just to codify that policy and sign off on it. I met with the city manager today. It was our opportunity to kind of go over the policy, and I provided some key points for him in a presentation format as well, too. And then Almost finished, only have a couple more. Internal affair process. The assessors really want us to strengthen our internal affairs investigation and standards process. So professional standards investigators have gone through some additional formal training and interview techniques and protocols, and I think they went to the Reed School investigations. Staff are finalizing the complaint classification and documentation and making sure we do a more thorough review on our case reviews. And what that means is you look at some of the verbiage from the assessment. A lot of times when we close out a case, if they follow policy, we'll say no policy violation. It's very short. We want them to give more follow information about when I give the incidents about the use of force and the Walmart where the body cam didn't go off. They use taser in an instance. Instead of just saying we follow policy, what's the detail of that? Why did we use force? Why was it appropriate? What was the need for that? So we're asking internal affairs to get a little more detailed in their after action review. And that policy has been updated already. And then last two, property and evidence. The assessors came to the police department and actually toured our property and evidence. And what they do is actually take a sampling of all the evidence, and that's pretty customary. So they may ask for about 50 items of evidence, and what they're doing is check and make sure that our computer system can track those items of evidence, but also that we can find it. If we say we have some fentanyl, and we probably don't keep fentanyl there, but marijuana, cocaine, all those drugs. If we have it in evidence in the property, we want to make sure that we have it. It's the amount or weight or quantity we say it is, and it's there and we can retrieve it. So when they come in and do that assessment, all that lined up, and we did a phenomenal job on that portion of it. However, what they saw was we needed more formalized training, employee training for our employees on operations of an evidence and property unit. There was some confusion whether or not they knew the policy and procedures. We have double-checked and make sure they have signed off. They know the policy and procedures, but since the assessors noted that we should send them to a different formal school, we've made arrangements to do that. The other thing they noted in the property and evidence is the locking mechanism for the vault was broken. And also they recommended we include a video recording system to make sure we monitor everything within property and evidence. So as of today's date, we have actually completed the lock or replacement of the lock on the vault. We have the camera installed and it's operational and working, and the employees are scheduled for training in July of this year, locally in the Kansas City area. So all those recommendations or suggestions for property and evidence has been completed as well too. And then the last one, last but not least, before I turn this over to the next person, based on recent changes in leaderships in the last 5 years, the assessors recommend focusing on leadership development and also succession planning. Leadership Development and a Sustainability Committee was established to identify leadership and police executive training programs, and I'm proud to say that we worked pretty well with Finance and Budget to identify $30,000 in executive training for captains and above to make sure they can get the training they need. When I first got here for a city this size, I don't think we have one person that's been to the FBI National Academy. No one's been to the Boston SMIP school. No one's been to Northwestern Stafford Command. So when you rise up during the ranks and you become executive, you assume one of the executive levels, we want you to have that experience, but also the professional development and education with your peers around the country. And those are standard courses. When you hire a police chief and a deputy chief, most of them will have at least one or more of those executive courses. Right now, we have no one in our organization that's had that. So it's not doom and gloom, but it is part of our process to update and prepare the next generation of leaders within this police department. I'll always say, even though I come from the outside, I'd like for us to grow our leadership capacities within the organization so in the very near future, you can promote the next police chief from within instead of having to go outside. So that kind of concludes. I'll take any questions that you may have for me, reference this. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Deputy Chief Sumstead to provide an operational review of our areas of responsibility. Thank you.
At least the technical difficulties have been resolved. Maybe. Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for letting me come up and talk today, mayors, members of the council. As always, it's always a pleasure to get up here and talk to you guys. My name is Deputy Chief Michelle Sumstead. I am over the Patrol Division, the Investigations Division, and the Special Operations Division. I always say I have the fun job. So I have everything, pretty much everything uniform related. I'm not going to go over all of these stats. We'll go over them in a little bit more detail to try and, I know you guys have got a long night tonight, so I'm going to try and be respectful of your time. So we'll start with domestic violence. We had a 2% increase in domestic violence. I am not going to go over all these stats on these slides. You guys have got it in the agenda. I'm just going to kind of highlight a couple of the things. Big thing I notice always with domestic violence is the ongoing relationship with Hope House and the incredible partnership that we have got with Hope House. Throughout the years, people have become more comfortable reporting domestic violences, and I think that that is why we get a little bit of an increase in that, because Hope House every year really pushes for that, and with the relationship that we've got, to the point of this year, Sergeant Kennan is also getting the Hope House, one of their awards this year. The lunch is Thursday for that. So, like I said, we've got a great relationship. We do domestic violence revisits with them pretty much every month, if not more. There's a group of officers that go out with Hope House and go double check on victims to make sure that they're doing okay. Same thing here with drug and narcotic violations. You're seeing almost a 25% increase. However, one of the things with that increase is we have core program, the crime, we'll talk about it here again in a minute, crime overview, response and evaluation program that has for about the last year been kicking back off in full steam, which is a lot of self-initiated activity. That's why you're seeing almost a 24.59% increase in drug violations. The guys are out there really, really, really working their tails off to try and get some of these street level and high level drug dealers and drug users off the street. As you can see, about 576 of those are just the possession, so that's going to come from most of your patrol officers. Firearms related, that's a 14.18 decrease. So that's the ones that are being reported. That's not the guns that are being taken off the street by our officers. That's the ones that are being reported. So we have a whole lot less violent crime in the city, to the point of about just over 14% decrease in gun crime. This is any of our officers that have been assaulted or killed in the line of duty. Luckily, in 2025, we had a 100% decrease, and we had nobody killed in the line of duty last year. However, there was a 40% increase in our guys getting assaulted, our guys and gals getting assaulted. Obviously, that's way too high. Any amount of increase is too high for me. So that's whenever you hear LEOCA and you hear any of the officers talking about LEOCA, that's what that is, law enforcement officers killed and assaulted. Property crimes. This is one of those numbers that, as high as that number is of 4,000 crimes, of property crimes, this is something we just really don't have a whole lot of control over. This is going to be your larceny shoplift from Kohl's. If you know our Kohl's loss prevention, he's the #1 in the nation for shoplifts. So we're going to have high numbers of crimes. We've got the Independence Center in the 39th Street corridor, so we're going to have those kind of crimes. Obviously, you've also got burglaries and fraud that are listed in there. Burglaries of storage units have been a hot topic lately. We've actually, that's one of our core initiatives right now, is the storage units. Sorry about that. Violent crime, another decrease. So again, this is a lot of this is the guys out there working their tails off trying to get, some of these bad guys off the street. Our personnel, what we're looking at right now, a lot of the reason, you guys have heard about our staffing issues. I know the chief kind of talked about it very, very briefly. We are budgeted for 231 sworn officers. We are at, right now, with 9 conditional offers and people in the academy, we are at 29 vacancies. And that's vacancies throughout the entire department. That's vacancies within investigations, vacancies within special operations, and vacancies within patrol. We also have within patrol, and I'll talk about it here again in a second, but we've also got guys that have gotten hurt in the line of duty that are on modified duty. I think we're sitting at about 14 right now total. Don't quote me on that number. And then our civilian professional staff, we've got 98 budgeted, but we've also got 25 vacancies. Those are within fiscal. Those are some of our admin positions, records positions, detention positions. So we've got near or just over 50 vacancies within the department altogether. That's pretty small, but that's the organizational chart. You guys have got that, again, in your agenda item. So investigations, kind of proud of this number that's on here. There's nearly 4,000 cases that were assigned last year with a nearly 61% clearance rate. National average is about 40%. So we are substantially above the national average. With 6 vacancies to handling a city this size, 6 vacancies having that kind of a clearance rate is absolutely astronomical. So I could not be more proud of our investigations unit for the things that they do there. Part of investigations is special victims unit, which is a lot of our sex crimes, the things that none of us want to talk about, property crimes, and any of the crimes against persons, and these are their numbers. And again, gun squad, we've got one detective assigned to, it's RCFL, it's a regional computer lab or forensics lab. Officer Taylor, or Detective Taylor is up there now, and basically they focus on anything computer-related crimes, as they do a lot of that kind of stuff that it's one of those, they can't even tell me about it on a lot of that. So our drug enforcement unit, again, just like you saw with the drug crimes, is they've been working their tails off because everything that we get on the street usually gets assigned to them as well to investigate. I know a lot of you are familiar with the street crimes unit. Their numbers, again, they've got 54 guns off the street and over 50,000 rounds of ammunition that they pulled off the street in 2025. They've recently gotten their federal credentials back, or are working on getting their federal credentials back with the U.S. Marshal Service as well, and trying to build that partnership and collaboration back with the USMS again. Crime scene, again, every time our guys go out on any kind of violent felony, they're calling out crime scene. So again, they keep their numbers pretty high. And big thing with patrol, nearly 57,000 calls for service last year. If you guys remember the ones that have been on the council, we tried to do a sector concept to where officers were broke down into 3 different sectors throughout the city to try and get them moving around the city a little bit more than what they were. We've determined that that was not working quite as effective as we were hoping that it would work, so we've gone back to districts this year. Starting in, I think it was December 14th is when we started that again, and response times have gone down, and it has worked out very, very well going back to districts. Major McVeigh did a really, really, really good analysis of that program and determined that we were going to go back to districts. Again, with the shortage, imagine having, we have 90 people are slotted for patrol and handling almost 57,000 calls in a year. CORE we talked about. Basically what CORE does is we come up with a project for them to work. Right now it is the storage units and a lot of the foot traffic along 23rd Street, and they have one focused area or one focused issue that they're dealing with, and these are the stats that they've gotten over the last year. Captain Jarnigan took that and ran with it and has gotten absolutely amazing work done, and the guys have, like I said, they're doing shoplift sweeps, helping out with the mall. They were helping Kansas City for a little bit with some of the street racing and things like that to make sure that we didn't have that come over here to Independence at all. So, crash or accident investigations. As I'm sure a lot of you have heard, we had a lot of very serious crashes in 2025, which is part of the 23rd Street initiative, is to try and eliminate some of the foot traffic going across 23rd Street. So these are their numbers, 121 felony DWIs that they put in for last year. Motorcycles, they're doing all of our city works complaints, parking complaints, and obviously their traffic citations, and they are doing all the different speeding complaints and different complaints we get from the residents. SWAT, they are working still, just as when the ones of you that have been on the council got street crimes initiated. SWAT has basically been tied hand in hand with them. They will also be getting the U.S. Marshals certification as well. They're going after the worst of the worst in our community. K-9, not a whole lot to say about them other than they're like 413 K-9 calls in a year. So that's a lot of calls that they've gotten. We just finally got full staffed in K-9. So we've got everybody set and ready to go. Community services, as you guys know, we've got a substation at the Independence Center. We've got the new one up on the square that they have got a constant traffic of the community coming and going from there every day. And then obviously the substation out in Hawthorne, which they've got all of their community relationships that they build in Hawthorne. National Night Out that I know a lot of you went to this year. Trunk or Treat, which is one of the largest trunk or treats in the state. The Halloween parade that we do every year. They did a car show for Cody this year. Every year we go do nursing homes and bring Christmas cards and everything to the nursing homes. Coffee with a Cop and a bunch of other stuff that they do. I mean, every day they're out in the community and doing neighborhood watch meetings, doing volunteers in police service. We've got a ton that those guys are doing. They, like I said, you can see their number of calls for service. This is Officer Romero for our crisis intervention team. He actually this year got voted to the board of directors for CIT. If you guys remember, we also had one of the media outlets did a ride along with our CIT program and did a really, really nice story on that. SROs have a great relationship with all of our schools and all of our kiddos. Sniper and EOD, not a whole lot you can say about them other than the snipers have had 7 deployments, average 2 hours, but I know we just had one the other day that we were out there for about 6. So the patience that those guys have is incredible. Hostage negotiations, they are at 100% success rate. 11 call-outs and 11 wins, as you would like to put it. And the drones, they get used all the time. We've got several of our patrol officers that are drone certified, so the drones are out constantly every day. So, any questions on any of that? I think that is my last one.
Mayor,
Well, of course.
may I ask a
Yes.
question? Thanks. Deputy Chief, for a while, the state of Missouri had quite a massive backlog of rape kits for years. And my understanding, it has been cleared up and is a lot better now.
That is my understanding as well, ma'am.
And so where do we send ours for the city? Do we do that ourselves, or do we
Highway
still?
Patrol.
Sorry?
Highway Patrol.
Okay. And then how is CIT working with Arch now? I know this was a conversation we had maybe a year and a half ago about how we were coordinating those calls. I'm just wondering if how we've worked on that in the last couple of years.
I know that the communication has gotten a whole lot better. I know Battalion Chief Burrell is frequently talking to Major Kelsey about different Arch things and how we can work better together between CIT, the co-responders, and with Arch.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Proceed.
just a couple of questions. You mentioned all the substations that you had at Hawthorne and on the square and at Independence Center. I attended a community meeting about the redevelopment of Nolan Fashion Square, and somebody had mentioned possibly could a substation be put in that area if it was redevelopment. I know you're spreading your resources very thin, but I mean, has there been any thoughts of putting one on that side of town?
I am open to those conversations if we have the staffing.
Right. That's right.
However, we
Stand
do
by the
not.
resources.
I mean, it's just a matter of what the staffing levels are, and if we'd have to up our community services unit as it is to be able to man another substation.
Okay. The second question, and I know in the past, you mentioned gun crimes being down and violent crimes. Were those the two? Right. So my question with that is, I know I mean, you guys can, the police department can arrest people all day, but, you know, they have to be charged. So I guess my question is, I know in the past, there has been, you know, some back and forth with the prosecutor's office, and not just this agency, but other agencies in Jackson County did not feel that the prosecutor's office was charging the cases they should. So has that relationship changed for the better since the new prosecutor? And I hate to put you on the spot, but I think it's a good
I think
question.
you know me, I'm pretty open and honest, so. No, that relationship with the prosecutor's office has become absolutely amazing. Our investigations unit has been extremely happy with the prosecutions that we've been getting from the current staff at the prosecutor's office.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor.
Proceed.
So just wanted to see if you all have been comparing these stats to the regional and national trends. Are we kind of in line with that? Are we exceeding regional and national trends?
I know our cases solved were far exceeding. I think we're pretty much on average with, per capita, I think we're pretty much on average with everybody else.
That's good to hear.
I can get the exact numbers and get back with you, council member.
So I wanted to put a little context to the drug amounts. Are you able to kind of give a rough idea or outline of, you know, how much fentanyl was seized and how many kind of lives may that have saved? I have no idea what a lethal dose of any of that stuff is.
I've actually got the actual number, I think, on here of the actual fentanyl cases.
Gotcha.
Yep, 203 grams of fentanyl that was seized, and that's just from investigations. That's not counting anything that was seized from patrol.
Gotcha. And just off the top of your head, do you know about what is a lethal dose of fentanyl, just to kind of roughly let the public know how many lives this may have saved?
I'm going to say that that's probably well over 200, probably. I don't know what the exact lethal dose is, but it's minuscule is what a lethal dose of fentanyl could be. So you could probably double that number as how many lives were saved.
Okay, I think that's important context. The Animal Cruelty Task Force, I know it's something that Councilwoman Wiley, you were all very passionate about. Just didn't know if there were any updates on kind of that education piece. You had mentioned Hope House and the relationship on reporting domestic violence there, but obviously those who abuse their animals are often almost a one-to-one abusing somebody within that home as well. I didn't know what we could do to support those efforts on education on animal cruelty as well.
Yeah, we did absolutely have those conversations, and I think anybody that's sitting on this council knows what my passion is towards that. Again, we're looking at some staffing issues, and with the amount of cases right now that our investigations unit has got, it's been hard to get a group of people to go, and with the changes in animal control and where they've gone and gone back, it's been hard to be able to get that scheduled.
Okay.
And between the state schedule and our schedule, it's just been hard to get that scheduled, so. But it's definitely, like I said, most cops are huge animal lovers, so.
Yeah. Would love to work with city manager on that. And then one last thing, so the drone program, you said they're kind of out constantly. What is the protocol for when they are out? What are they surveying? Is that specific, or are they just sort of?
It could be just about anything. It could be a lost juvenile. It could be somebody that has taken off on foot that we're doing an area search. It could be surveillance. It could be just about anything we can use the drones for. There's a lot of agencies now that are going to a drones as first responders program, but it's a substantial amount of money.
Okay, gotcha. That's all I have. Thank you.
Quick question, and maybe this isn't the time for it, but I'm going to ask. I mean, obviously, we got the FIFA World Cup coming up. Plans, have you guys kind of talked about that? I mean, obviously, we've got the Independence Center where we're going to have a drop-off location. Any plans that you can share with us moving forward regarding FIFA and security?
We've got a lot of security plans. Captain Durst has been since day one, since we found out about that World Cup was coming here. Captain Durst has been involved in all of those and working on operational plans and different things like that. Right now, we're really not in a position to go public with that, but I'd be more than happy to get with you offline, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you. Deputy Chief, as I'm thinking out loud with the off-duty officers, I'm referring specifically with the 24 Highway Community Improvement District, where we have decided, the board of directors there have decided to hire off-duty police officers.
Yes, sir.
One car with 2 officers in the car. I won't give the schedule that they work, but they are making an impact there. Do those police interactions, do they make it to the screen? We've just been doing it for several months, so I know this probably isn't reflective, but how does that process work?
They do not, they don't make it to this screen because that's an off-duty job that's paid for by the 24 Highway SID. So I know they've got stats for up there, and I'd be happy to get those from Mr. Raybeck if you'd like those.
I've seen them, but they're really impressive that the work they're doing over there, and that's why it just occurred to me if it translates into what your presentation is.
No, it wasn't. Well, if they've made arrests, yes, that will be in that presentation,
Okay.
if they've made actual arrests.
Okay.
So their citizen contacts probably are not, but any arrests will be in these presentations.
All right, well, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Mayor and members of the council, thank you for the time that you've given me to speak here. I will not keep you too long. I'll burn through these slides pretty quickly. I'm Jason Peterson, Deputy Chief over Operations Support Bureau. That means I have emergency communications, professional standards, records, detention, fiscal, fleet, and technology. I'm going to go the wrong way and start at the bottom of that list and work my way up because I don't have slides for everything. So technology is everything from radios to computers, MDT, body cams, everything else. As you see there, the Panasonic Toughbook, we have replaced all of our aged and really out-of-date Data 911 MDTs in our cars with Panasonic Toughbooks over the last couple of years. We continue to expand the fleet and that footprint that we have for Panasonic Toughbooks wherever we can. It will definitely serve its purpose when we replace the rest of the SROs desktops with Panasonic Toughbooks that they can use in their car or at the school if they need to with the desktop dock. With regard to fleet, we have over 230 vehicles in our fleet, and it is complicated. There are a bunch of special use vehicles, and our vehicles in patrol run 24/7. We have 12-hour shifts that run back to back. That car is essentially hot swapped. It's parked, the next officer jumps into it and drives it off. That's hard on vehicles. We put a lot of hours on them. We put a lot of miles on them. We had the opportunity to outfit vehicles that we had purchased in the last fiscal year prior to the one that we're in now. And we deployed 26 vehicles that were either frontline enforcement vehicles or supervisors for those captains in patrol or in special operations, and then one arson truck for investigations. It's a special purpose vehicle for arson investigations. And fiscal, we have a great team that's very small that deals with all of our purchase orders, procurement on the PD side, and all of our budgeting, and they do the lion's share of the work when we talk about our presentations for any of our budget needs. And they also assist with our grant management when it's, say, forfeiture funds or BJA grants or anything like that. Okay, so emergency communications is commonly referred to as dispatch. You can see that they had 236,044 incoming calls last year. That's a tremendous amount. In December of 2025, after about 5 months of work with Sugar Creek PD, knowing that they were going to close their dispatch center down, we had conversations with our dispatch personnel. They said they could take it over based upon the call load. I think they would say that no matter who it was. They're proud, they're very good at what they do, and they take ownership of that. So they were more than happy to jump into it. They were confident they could provide the services that we needed to for Sugar Creek, and we took over their dispatching in December. So we have a contract with Sugar Creek, the city of Sugar Creek, to handle their PD dispatching. We don't handle fire for them. Their fire dispatch goes to Lee Summit. So you can see that we have 91,789 911 calls, and then a tremendous number of non-emergency calls that have to be routed. You have the numbers there on police and fire incidents, and 98.81% of those calls are answered within 15 seconds. That's a tremendous rate. I check monthly on our previous month's responses for 911 calls that come into dispatch through the MARC website. And really, I think that's available for everybody. And the vast majority of our calls are answered within 4 to 5 seconds on average every month. That's incredible based upon the number of vacancies that they have. But like I said, they take their jobs very seriously, they're good at it, and they're proud of what they do. Okay, so moving on to professional standards. While this has complaints and response to force incidents listed, professional standards also encompasses training, recruiting, hiring, background investigations, and all of that. So it's not just the complaints and the things that come in. So we did have 138 complaints against personnel. That incorporates both internal and external complaints. So if we recognize a policy violation internally, that's a complaint, just like it would be if it were a citizen that called to make a complaint on something. So we had 138 complaints against personnel last year, and you have the numbers breakdown on how they shook out. That top number, that 85 closed, that is one of the things that's used broadly, and we're going to try to fine-tune that a little bit, refine what that really means, and parse that out a little bit to maybe be more accurate. But it's used as a review by staff with nothing to investigate, meaning there isn't enough information to move further with it or something of that nature. And then exonerated means an action occurred, but it was justified, lawful, and proper. Not sustained is neither proven nor disproven. Unfounded is the acts complained of did not occur, or the complaining party admits that there was a false allegation or the member was not involved. Then response to force resistance incidents, the chief talked about a little bit. We had 234 response to force resistance incidents last year. 51% of those offenders sustained no injury, and less than 3% of the offenders sustained moderate injury, and a very small number were actually hospitalized. In those responses to force, we had 34 officers injured during these incidents, and those injuries range all over the place. Moving on to police records, this is front desk and our records personnel that are in the back. And front desk took over 6,500 police reports last year, 6,840. That's everything from call-in to walk-in reports. Record staff in the back handled entries that included stolen autos, missing persons, runaways, orders of protection. On the warrant side, while warrant sounds like they're out there snatching people out of their homes for warrants, that's not what this is. It's predominantly clerical, where they get the information from a court, and then they enter that information as a warrant into the system so that we can take action on it. So you have the numbers on their warrants there. Down at the bottom, we have detention information, where we had over 5,500 people booked last year, meaning we arrested them, we booked them, and then they were either bond out, or in 815 cases, they were housed off-site. We only have short-term housing here in Independence, so anytime somebody is sentenced to more time than what we could deal with internally, we'll transport them off to where we have contracts to house for longer term. And then the year in review, as you all know, we lost Cody Allen a little over 2 years ago. And last year, 42 IPD officers traveled to Washington, D.C. for National Police Week to honor Cody's name being inscribed on the wall. IPD officers participate in the Missouri Mavericks First Responder Appreciation Night. If you ever get a chance to ride in the vehicle when you're on the ice, it's a good time. We held our first awards ceremony in December since 2019. I don't know if you guys remember what happened in 2019, but everything got kind of turned upside down, and we've been delayed since then. In that awards ceremony, 104 officers received awards. Many of them received more than one, so there were a tremendous number of awards issued. And this will be an annual tradition again, bringing that back. As Sergeant Kenman's name's already been mentioned once, but she also received the 10th Annual Examiner of Women of Distinction Award last year. It's a big deal. So we're proud of her for that. Like I said, I'll burn through mine pretty quickly. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Proceed.
you mentioned the Panasonic Tough Books. How often do you have to replace those in the cars? Or how often are you replacing them in the cars?
What we have begun to do is when we made the first purchase, we were planning they have a 5-year warranty. So we
Okay.
were planning to purchase a portion of the fleet every year. We were fortunate enough that we were able to do everything within the first 2 years of that plan, but we will continue to budget and purchase additional to further expand that footprint as I described. And then when that 4 years rolls around, we'll be replacing. So we'll replace about 25% of the fleet every year.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Now, with respect to failures, I don't think we've had but one that we had to send back under warranty so far.
Just a couple questions on my end. We talk about the chase policy and things, but, we do not have any vehicles that are equipped with the Star Chase or the Grappler system, as that I know of right now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Opportunities here for us to get some vehicles that could have these systems put in place that would help with some of these the chase policy and some of these pursuits?
That is entirely based upon budget constraints. We budget for vehicles every year. We need to, based upon the number of vehicles we have in our fleet. We can't replace them all at one time. So we project that we would like to replace a certain number every year. Obviously, we operate under budget constraints based upon the amount of money that we're going to have coming in. But the plan for this year was we submitted resource requests for vehicles, some of which would incorporate the either Grappler or Star Chase, a separate budget request for reintroducing Star Chase back into the field. So it depends on what our opportunities are to take advantage of that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, getting back to the regular agenda, item number 3, we'll continue back with the semi-annual report of the Stormwater Oversight Committee. Again, R. Scott Smith.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, hopefully this will be a short slide after a long run. We have in, let me figure out how we do this. Oh, that's not us. That's the police department. Bingo. Bingo. Okay. As I said, I'm R. Scott Smith. I'm chairman of the Stormwater Tax Oversight Committee. Myself and Les Boatwright have been on this committee since its inception back in 2001. The purpose, and by the way, these are all council appointments. Program overview. We monitor appropriate expenditure of the city's stormwater sales tax. It was established in 2001. We had our own SWAT team back then. We called ourselves the Stormwater Action Team, and we went out and got our voters convinced that we needed a special tax to take care of and alleviate our flooding problems in Independence. And it was renewed in 2010. The first stormwater tax had a 10-year sunset on it, and it had an assigned oversight committee just as we have now. The new tax it's been very successful. We've completed more than 50 million in improvements on our stormwater system. Unfortunately, you may not be able to see that because the stormwater department buries their best work. But I'm going to show you some of the things that have been accomplished here recently. I think the most important aspect of this tax is that it creates a fund that can be leveraged against grants. And more in recent years, we have people on staff now who can apply for those. And that'll become very apparent when you see some of these particular projects that have been done and how much we leveraged those funds to get federal grants. This slide shows the tax revenue, and you'll notice that this is based on a fiscal year, July 1st to December 31st. The sales tax revenues are slightly below the expected level halfway through the fiscal year. The majority of use tax revenue comes in the third and fourth quarters. The use tax is how we grab funds from people like my wife who buy things online. And with Christmas being at the end of the fiscal year, no wonder our third and fourth quarters are our best quarters. Stormwater sales tax allocations. As you can see there, total allocations of funds is $20 million. Maintenance, 3.5 million. Capital budget, and this is for fiscal year 26 plus rollovers. We have encumbrances, and those are projects that are in the planning or in the stage where they're acquiring property or acquiring rights of way. And so we know that the funds that are shown there, $7.9 million, that money's being held so that we can use it to pay the bill when the bill comes due. You can see expenditures there, the various amounts. To date, we've expended $4.9 million, and we've got $5.8 million still in the fund balance. Storm operations summary. This is where the rubber meets the road. You can see here how much is being spent for various activities of the stormwater department. The standard operations numbers on the target for the year over comparison. Notable increases occurred in structure repairs and conduit inspections. We've got a whole lot of underground pipe. A lot of it is galvanized pipe. Galvanized pipe has a maximum life of 100 years. In our environment, with salt on our streets, the life is more like 50 years, 75 at tops. And you'll see some pictures coming up to show you that. The conduit inspections are our guys in the stormwater department going out and checking out those things, either by camera or in the case of say, a 72-inch pipe, the low man on the totem pole is sent in to take a look. Let's talk about construction. The Rock Creek Watershed, Phase 2. This is one where, amazingly, that leveraging of federal funds came into play. And this is one of the first grants obtained. And it's there for 80% funded. For those of you who want to know what this is, you can see that big, you can see the bad pipe coming out. And the picture on the left, that's on South Forest. The other one is, no, that one's Crescent, I'm sorry, Crescent Avenue. The one on the right is on South Forest. Phase 2 is nearing completion with major pipe repairs, replacements, and inlet upgrades, which are substantially finished. The federal government paid for 80% of this through that grant. The total cost is $6 million, 80% federal funding, and so we get in Independence a cost of $1.2 million, or $6 million worth of repairs. I mean, my hat's off to the staff members who do this grant work. It's just incredible. Next thing here is the emergency project at 45th and Noland. That's across from the honey baked ham. This, because it was an emergency work, our people did the work. We didn't have to let it out for a bid. We were able to get a real bargain on the pipe and all of the materials, and consequently we got this for a total cost of $383,000. Had it not been done, Noland Road probably would have gone away. It would have been shut down if that, if that pipe hadn't been repaired. The Rockwood storm drainage improvements. This picture on the left is at 10516 East 27th Terrace. The one on the right is 10608 East 27th Terrace. This particular project was something that the folks in Rockwood, in the Rockwood neighborhood, have been looking forward to for some 10 years. There's always been a flooding problem down in that area. And this one, there were 20 new inlet structures installed. And by that, they mean the little catch basins at the corner of every street where the water goes into the pipes. 1,800 feet of new pipe was installed. It's at 95% completion. The projected cost to complete it is $2 million. The stormwater tax part of that is $402,000. So you can see, just having the money available, we can get big projects done so that the homeowners, our citizens, homes don't flood and their streets don't become impassable. Next is Leslie DeCrane and Hereford Storm Drainage Improvements. This is in the Cracker Neck watershed. And in case you weren't aware, our city has a large number of watershed. And what we're talking about is where does the water go? And like in Rock Creek, where I live, it all ends up going into the Rock Creek and flowing downhill. And it was so bad at the beginning of this particular project, when we first got the tax money, is that we actually had to go and buy out some homes because they were in the middle of where the stream was. And, you know, we had some people who had to have put garage doors on the back of their garages so they could open the front and open the back so that the water go on through. Well, this is the culmination of those types of improvements. 1,300 feet of storm drainage conduit and 15 new inlet structures. Cost is $3 million. It's 80% federally funded. And the stormwater tax funds were a mere $631,000. And that's going to help a number of people. In case you didn't know it, the Stormwater Department looks at each individual proposed project. They look at the number of citizen complaints about the issue, and they look at the project in terms of, okay, how many people, how many citizens would be benefited by this particular project. And then it's all in a matrix, and they know by using that matrix which places need the most help the fastest. Another emergency project up on North Rogers. They're going to install 200 feet of 48-inch pipe. That's it. I'm glad I'm not low man on the totem pole, but you can see where the galvanized pipe is collapsing. And if you look at the bottom, you can see all the refuse and debris. And what happens is the bottom rots out of these galvanized pipes. Not only because of salt from the streets, but just from debris and water laying in the bottom and not draining properly. It's 5% completed, and they expect the project to be completed in spring of 2026. We're almost there. Anyway, I'm sure that the people in that neighborhood are going to be very pleased. Future capital improvements. These are particular projects that have gone through the matrix and they're on the books. So there's a lot that goes into it. Just because they're on the future capital improvement list doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. I don't know if you were provided with, we have a sheet that shows every project and its stage. In the past, you've received those. It's color-coded, and you can take a look at it at any time and see just how each individual project is progressing. Some of these I've seen them, not all of them, but I've seen them, and I know that those people, our citizens, are waiting with bated breath for these projects to take place. That's all I have. I'm open to any questions. I won't necessarily know the answers, but there's somebody here who can.
Any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention.
Honorable Mayor, next up, we have the semi-annual report of the Public Safety Tax Oversight Committee. We have Bruce Frakes here. We had Bruce Frakes here. If it pleases the council, we can move on to the semi-annual report of the Animal Welfare Committee, and then we'll come back to public safety. But Ted Luce?
Troy, city manager, real quick, did we street improvement oversight?
I apologize, I skipped over that one. Let's try that again. Street Improvement Oversight Committee, we have Wes Epperson.
Ma'am. Show me again. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Wes Epperson. I'm the chairman of the Street Improvements Oversight Committee. And the other members of our committee are John Powell, Lavette Ojeda, Marcy Gregg, Pam Washon, and Marcus Bowen. And we have one vacancy. The program overview. The SIOC monitors the use of the street sales tax and the general obligation bonds. The sales tax program went into effect in 2009. The voters approved it in 2017 and did away with the sunset. Voters approved the GO bond funding for bridges, sidewalks to schools, and preventative maintenance, pavement maintenance in April of '25. This 6-month report of the street sales tax revenue, the sales tax revenue is at the 6-month point is 49.55%. The majority of the use tax, which the other gentleman mentioned, most of that use tax money will come in the third and the fourth quarter. The street sales tax allocations, these numbers show the operating budget and the capital budget. On the budget, operating budget, a milder winter season allowed for savings in personnel and operating expenses. And remaining debt service fees will be fully paid before the end of the financial year, fiscal year. On the capital budget side, $14 million is encumbered or expended on projects currently in design or in construction. And the remaining $30 million in the fund balance is earmarked for federal grant match projects awaiting contracts or the 12 projects currently in design. On the street operations summary, you can see that we have street sweepings collected, the right-of-way illegal dumping that is collected. We have traffic signs that are repaired, potholes repaired, snow operations, almost 1,900 employee hours, and then snow operations of treatments, which we used about 780 tons of salt and almost 38,000 gallons of brine as pre-treatment. And we also had partial and full depth street patching at almost 13,000 feet. So we'll move on to completed projects. We have completed the Vale Sidewalks Phase 2 and the 31st Street sidewalk improvements completed in fall of '25, and those projects came in under budget by a little more than $55,000. We also have the Square Streetscape Phase 1 that's been completed. Again, that was a federally funded project of over $3.7 million. And that project included major pedestrian, lighting, and stormwater improvements.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Did I hear the word under budget?
Yes,
Okay, just wanted to have that on record so we can
Right.
emphasize under budget was said here today. So.
yeah, it came in under budget. Okay, let's look at what's under construction right now. And we have the pavement preventative maintenance. I think another word for that is overlay. And part of that is overlay, I'll say. We also do microsurfacing, crack, scrub, and cape seal. And that is in the 5th year of the what we call the alternate maintenance programming. We also had over 18.5 lane miles of overlay that was included in that. So we had over 400 miles of improvements to our streets over the past 4 years using this program. We also have the 24 highway complete streets, phase 1. This is a MoDOT cost share project. Contractor Burns and McDonnell. It is administered by MoDOT, and that project runs from River Boulevard east to 291 Highway. It includes new sidewalks, curb and gutter, and pavement. We have 10-foot multi-use path on the south side and a 5-foot sidewalk on the north. Also includes storm sewer and traffic signal improvement. And that project is over $15 million. Let's move to the Truman Connected Phase 1. Again, this is 80% federally funded. It includes the sidewalk, curb, gutters, storm sewer, landscaping, hardscape improvements, shared path from Truman Library to Inglewood Arts District, and that total estimated project cost will be a little over $3 million. Looking at our future capital improvements projects, at about $33.6 million for upcoming projects. There's, and we expect approximately $49.7 million in expected grant reimbursement for these 12 projects. Truman Connected Phase 2, Streetscape Phase 2, Historic Trails Phase 1, Fairmount Loop Trail, sidewalk programs, Nolan Road Multimodal Corridor, the Inglewood Traffic Circle and the Winter Road Streetscape, and finally the 23rd Street Mobility and Safety Improvement Project, Phases 1, 2, and 3. Now we'll shift to the GEO bond part of the Street Oversight Committee's our overview of that. As you know, last year at this time, the voters approved a $55 million GEO bond, $15 million for bridges, $10 million for sidewalks, and $30 million for pavement maintenance. That GEO bond is number, if you look on our financial report, that is, Fund 54 was established for the purpose of tracking the general obligation bond funds. The first of 2 rounds of funding was received in October of '25. We expect the second round of funding to be received in 2028. And again, Fund 54 will track those GEO bond funds expenditures. That slide shows the GEO bond budget and expenses as of December 31st, 25, and we're kind of just getting started on that. And the first couple of projects that are being funded by the GEO bond is the couple of bridges, the Chrysler Avenue Bridge over the Union Pacific Railroad and the East Kentucky Road Bridge over Mill Creek. Both of those bridges have begun construction. They're both expected to be completed later this year, and total project cost for both of those locations is expected to be right at $3.6 million. Now, we have other bridges that right now are in design. You can see those: Kentucky Avenue over Rock Creek, R.D. Mize over Little Blue River, Winter Road over the CPKC rail line, Arlington Avenue Bridge over Rock Creek, and the Lake City Valley Road Bridge over Small Creek. We also have a couple of projects ready to go on the GEO bond sidewalk to schools. And the contracts, the design build contracts in progress for Castle Park Elementary and Mill Creek Elementary. There are 5 additional schools listed there, there to be addressed in the future. And the needs and the priorities for these sidewalks were established by the school districts. And finally, the GEO bond overlay program. This is a 5-year investment. We'll spend $6 million a year on overlay. The contractor on the 26 overlay program is Superior Bowen. The contract's amount is a little over $6 million, and that will get us a little over 53 lane miles of overlay. And that completes our report. Any questions? I'll try, but if I can't, I've got Municipal Services Director Mike Jackson back there. So any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Epperson?
Mr. Mayor,
Proceed.
thank you. You may know this. Can you remind everyone the streets in Independence that are the responsibility of MoDOT?
40 Highway, I believe 24 Highway, 23rd Street and some of Truman Road, I believe.
Okay. And so when we have potholes, it's their responsibility to fix those. Do they also mow? Is that their responsibility, like beautification along those roads?
Let me ask, come on up, Mr. Director.
Hello, Mike Jackson, Municipal Services Director. One road you did forget was 291, was the other state. Yes.
You handle the rest.
Okay. Yes, that is their responsibility. That is their right of way that they have to take care of.
Okay. And then my other question was, I did a ride along with your crew last year, and there was some discussion about you were having a hard time filling some vacancies, that you had some job openings that you were having a hard time filling, which was affecting some of the things that you were able to do. I'm just wondering if that's better, that has improved.
It is better. It kind of ebbs and flows. The good part of that is when we lose people, we tend to lose them internally because they get promoted on up. So it's a kind of a good problem to have, but it's a really bad problem, especially going into the winter when
Right.
we need people out there pushing snow. Fortunately, this year, as Mr. Epperson said earlier, it was kind of a light winter, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, we have seen a much higher percentage of folks stick around recently.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Epperson, for your presentation, and Mr. Jackson, you can stay there. I want to first say thank you, Mr. Jackson, for showing up at the community meeting that I had last week, and also to you, Mayor, and Councilwoman Dorman. The purpose of that meeting was to kind of discuss the Truman Connected Phase 1. So there's been a lot of conversation regarding the trees that we did remove out of the Winter Road median there. So we, with good cross collaboration with the Independence Arts Council and the Tree Commission, just for the record, let's talk about the trees that we're going to replace back in the median there. So there are going to be the ginkgo mel, ivory silk lilac tree, Spartan juniper, State Street maple, Ohio buckeye, Pacific sunset maple, golden rain tree, white bud, red bud. And these trees were selected for color for fall and spring and summer with interesting leaf texture. So those trees will be replaced. They are going to be 1.5 to 2 inch diameter once they're replaced there, and they're going to look beautiful. And we had a great turnout, so thank you for everybody that did show up for that. One of the other discussion points we did have was talking about the large amount of leverage that we have done with these capital improvements. I would say at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Deputy Director, at this point we have leveraged so much funding from the grants and different federal grant programs that we've had that we're going to have to slow down a little bit.
Kind of. We're never going to be turning down any potential grant funds, but we do need to. We've been very successful with getting those grants, obviously, in the last 5 years or so. So some of those projects may have to be pushed out a little bit further, just so we can get caught up with the street sales tax to help our 20% portion. But we're really not. We're kind of just taking our foot slightly off the gas, just not pushing it all the way down. So we're still moving forward. We just got to be mindful that there is a limited pot of street sales tax funds.
Sure. Well, thank you for all the hard work and the staff's hard work to helping us leverage those for those improvements. Thanks.
Just a quick comment or a question. Is there a particular reason we're going to have Ohio Buckeyes in Tiger Country?
I will say that the professionals, the experts in the tree area picked those. I would have picked whatever, weeping willows, but they actually did a whole survey and picked what was appropriate for the region. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Proceed.
One quick question. This kind of dovetails in with the stormwater stuff. Our road salt usage, what kind of road salt are we using, and is there an alternative that is less corrosive to the stormwater system that is within our budget?
That's potentially a pretty loaded question. Don't know the specifics of what our chemical makeup is for our salt as far as the the granule size and the style, if you will. I can get that information to you. I will tell you that we do make our own brine on site. We use brine just as much, if not more, than we use the salt for that reason. And obviously, the salt only works to a certain temperature anyway. But that is something we've discussed in the past, and we are kind of looking into other options potentially, but I can get you the details on that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, we'll get back on schedule with the fifth presentation tonight, the semi-annual report of the Public Safety Tax Oversight Committee. We have Bruce Frakes, who is here.
Welcome and congratulations. My name is Bruce Frakes. I'm the co-chair of the Public Safety Tax Oversight. I serve along with Commissioner Aaron Boatwright, Pat Casey, Tara Cruzy, and Charlene Gray. On behalf of that commission, we'd like to say it's great to work with Chief Brinkley and Deputy Chief Sumstead and Peterson. They're great to work with. Chief Walker and Stobart are great and very responsive for some of the issues and concerns or questions we have. So they're great to work with there. So I am doing, our program is designed to monitor the use of the taxes, the expenditures for public safety, reviewed by the public committee. We're all citizens appointed by somebody on the commission. And I think Councilmember Wiley appointed me for my second term. We meet quarterly for reports on expenditures, taxes that come in, the funds in a fiscally sound manner for the guidance and ballot language for the city charter, policies, and state statutes. Independence Fire Department, July 1st, 2025 to February 28th of 2026, the protection sales tax 2-year objectives. The fire department's going to continue to work on and towards the objectives set in the cover of the committee for risk management and the master plan of the fire department. It'll include station locations, upgrades, future needs, staffing, the update to the capital outlay for the 5-year plan to account for the tax changes, the creation and reorganization of the fiscal budget for the sales tax, to stay compliant with the ordinance and the budget, that will require some adjustments. There's transparency in how the tax dollars are spent with the income and what they spend. So that's there to bring the staff levels up to meet the full staffing existing apparatus. Begin the construction of Station 8, Station 5, and Station 11, as well as determine the locations for future stations or replacement or upgrades as needed. This could include property acquisition from the beginning and from the design. So we continue to evaluate the staff, the apparatus locations for logistics side of where the calls are and the service needs are. So the fire department updates, the open and unpaid encumbrances. So one pumper that was ordered October of 20 is going to be delivered. 2 pumpers ordered for the fall of 2027. The station design process, groundbreaking footings, they were poured for Station 8. That was a big ceremony just not long ago. Conceptual design for Station 5 and Station 11. The completed projects that they've hit so far is we have 1 pumper delivered that went into service in February. 1 pumper was ordered in the fall of 27, and additional pumper ordered for the fall of 27, and they did it. It came out with the savings under. They saved $80,000 on that order, and with the timing of it. And then Station 1, where we do some meetings there, the west side, all those trees have been cleared out there for parking and access. And then for the beginning, the tax for July 25 to February of 26, The beginning unassigned fund balance was $16,645,670. And so the budget revenue from sales tax was about a little over 11 million, and the unassigned fund balance on 2/28/26 was $14,688,878. I'd say that's a good stewardship of the funds we have there by the staff, the executive staff. So there's some different reports reviewed by public safety. We do the public safety tax, sales tax report, the use prop P report, the marijuana tax report, and the prop PD tax report is what we do with the Independence Police Department. So the information is from July 1st of 2025 to February 28th of 2026. The beginning fund balance for 25-26 was a little over $3 million. The total revenue collected was a little over $2.1 million. The expenditures were $1.2 million, a little over that. The pending capital transfers to fund for 052 is little over $1 million, and the unassigned fund balance is just shy of $1.7 million. So those are some numbers. Expenditures are devoted to the three main purposes of this department: communication, facilities, and equipment. And that new police department is fine, and they did a great job with it. And you could tell as the tours I've done, which I'm a little off my script here, you could tell they had some of the cops help them design that. If you go through and look, the people that were involved in it have done a remarkable job with that, because that new facility is spectacular. See, significant purchase fiscal year, the Tyler Tech, the New World Maintenance Agreement, annual computer replacements, just the stuff that's outdated, the purchase and replacement of the in-car mobile data terminals that the chief talked about, uniforms and body armor. We like to keep that state-of-the-art and top-notch. The mobile command centers, we took in a smaller unit for more of it on site, and we have a full-size a command center for any major issues. Perfect timing for the World Cup coming in. And so the security cameras on the Bearcat, the ongoing payments to Project Advocates. So the owner reps and independent, that's what I was just talking about, was the Justice Center is well worth the investment, and about 25 years or 30 overdue is needed. So the police department use tax Prop P, the beginning fund balance for 25 and 26 was about 3.6 million. The revenue collected was about 4.9. The expenditures going out was 3.4. Pending capital projections transferred is about 1.8 million. The unassigned fund balance was 2.4 million. Prop B was designed, it was passed on a standalone prop, I believe, here just a little while back, to make sure we keep up on staffing and the pay is compatible in the metro area. Let's see, on the 32 tax position, helps some of the vacancies during the quarter, transfers out, reflect payments to Hoffler, Weckler, and the date for the police department, the new police headquarters. The police department marijuana tax information from July 25 to February of 26, the beginning fund balance is $326,120. The total revenue is about $565,000. Public safety gets zero. Animal services gets right at $30,000. Community development got $96. Unassigned fund balance is $660,000, 673 cents. The expenses include salary and benefits, part-time animal dispatchers, investment advisor fees, and payments on the 2025 Public Safety Infrastructure Revenue Bond. I'm talking pretty fast. Is everybody with me on this? Independence Police Department Prop PD tax. Information from July 2025 to February of 26. The beginning February 25, the unassigned was 1.16 million. The total revenue was it was $4,019,000. The transfers from general funds through 228 was 24 million right there at that area approximately. The expenditures with salary and benefits, 24,700,000. Services, 4.8 million. The supplies is just shy of 300,000. Equipment is about 170,000. That's a total of 30 million, just over $30 million. And the unassigned fund balance is 844,463. The PD, it's a funding mechanism to maintain competitive wage scale for sworn officers and make independents more competitive in the hiring market. In 2025, the police department's budget was shifted out of the general fund to the Prop PD tax fund, so expenditures now reflect the divisions within the department. So I think that is it for me. That is it. Now, with that, I would be happy to take any questions I may be able to answer. If not, I have a great deal of experience right here behind me.
Any questions?
I do have one question, and you might have covered this and it went quickly, but debt service amount?
Let me see where we are here.
It's on the marijuana tax.
The debt service amount, 201,100.
Yes.
So that leaves the 230.
What is that?
The debt service, I think that's for, hang on real quick here. I want to get the right answer. The debt service?
Yep. That debt service piece is a portion of the public safety bonds that were issued last April. So this is for the IJC, the Independence Justice Center project. They had $5 million for that project.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And if that's all, everybody?
I do have a question.
Okay, yes, sir.
So Prop P was designated to hire additional police officers, and I think there was a comment made earlier by the other presentation where 29 officers short.
Yes.
How many officers have we hired using this Prop P tax?
I'll let Chief Legal.
Okay.
Some of them, I believe some of them are general fund funded, correct?
Yeah, there was, when that went to vote, Mr. Mayor, there was a huge vacancy somewhere, Deputy Chief Sumstead, in the 30s, and it has totally closed in once the tax it was made public that the police department was going to be in wages and salary in comparison with the rest of the metro. And there was a huge gap closed, if I remember right, once the Prop PD did pass to fill the vacancies.
Right, but we're talking about Prop PD
Yeah.
for wages, and then we're talking about Prop P to hire officers. And my understanding is when we did Prop P, we were about 30 officers short at the time, and we're still 29 short. So I'm trying to figure out what we got going here.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. City Manager and Interim Chief, maybe the first a little clarity and let me know if I get out of turn. At the portion when we were doing the Prop PD, there was a significant amount of individuals that were at the retirement level, and we had quite a few that had retired out, and that we were backfilling and working through those positions.
Some injured.
Yes, and some injured. We did acquire quite a few officers, I believe, through the Prop PD from different area agencies. Raytown is the one that comes to my mind.
The county, I
most.
think, was a lot.
And the county was a lot. So a lot of those vacancies that we did have then were because of retirements and injuries. But as we fill them, We do have an older force. I mean, there's quite a wave of the silver tsunami that's going to hit our city just in general. I believe about 40% of our employees in the next 5 to 7 years are going to be eligible to retire. So I say that to put a little bit of context. A lot retired. You did hire some more in, and then another wave of retirements took place.
Yeah, and I believe the Prop P was 2 years ago, right at a couple of years ago when that was voted on a standalone prop. And so it did close the gap on the openings, just as you said. And I think we've closed the gap. And then as just what you said, that the age of the department, they're retiring, they can retire at 50. And there are some off, but I think we have some in the recruit stage and things like that. But Mr. Chief, I'll let you, if any.
All the FTEs are not covered under the Prop P tax. Some are general funded as well too. So you may have filled the ones that's allocated for this tax revenue, but we still actually do have about 25 to 30 vacancies. They may be on the general fund side though.
So, quick question, if we have, and maybe you can answer this. My understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's a freeze on hiring police officers right now, is that correct?
Correct.
And we're short 29 positions.
Somewhere between 24 and 29, yes.
Okay, I'm
So-
trying to figure this out here.
If
I'm sorry.
If I can, separating out, right? You heard the chief talk about positions that are funded by general fund dollars that have yet to be filled. There's a freeze on some of the, and then those positions that are funded by Prop P, right? And so, yes, Prop P did allow for a number of positions to be filled and funded. While, yes, there is a quote-unquote freeze on hiring any new individuals, any new officers, we are permitting certain positions to continue to be backfilled as they are being vacated. So we're continuing to maintain staffing levels to the greatest extent that we can, but there are limitations in general fund dollars that are available to fill those other unfunded vacant positions.
And I understand that portion of it. You know, I think I started out in saying how many positions, how many police officers are being funded through this program right now?
32, I think
something
there's
like
only
that?
one vacancy.
Correct.
That person retired in February. So we're filling them as they come available. But this doesn't cover all 230 officers funded from this particular tax revenue. I don't know if I'm trying to cover you.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just going to have to take a little bit more of a dive into this because this is not making sense to me. So,
And some of the openings come from promotions within. It'll show a vacancy, whether it be general fund or the Prop P. And those show a full-time equivalent.
Yeah, we'll be more than happy to sit down with you. We've got some budget discussions coming up here in the near future. We'll be more than happy to kind of sit down with you, provide you a much more thorough, detailed explanation of what positions are being funded out of what revenue streams and what positions have sort of been frozen and yet allowed to be conditionally offered. Sure.
So originally, when the Prop P use tax was passed, it did have a set number of officers that were to be funded by that. It was changed later. There was a new ordinance that changed how many officers, and it opened up the language, I believe ballot language as well as the ordinance, for what could be funded in, we call it Fund 18, which is the police use tax fund. And then when the sales tax was added last year, it was mostly for the salary increases. That has very quickly been eaten up by salary increases as we've hired on. They were a little more expensive than I think what was originally anticipated. And then in the general fund, it was restricted to be a certain percentage of general fund revenues that were supposed to be allocated for the police department, and we have maintained that.
So I'm going to ask another question because you brought up something that you said part of that was eating up wages, but that's Prop PD that's supposed to take care of that, correct?
It is,
Okay.
but the very first year, those wages were about $4.9 million if everything was fully funded. And the tax generates about $6 million a year between the sales tax and the use tax. So as those salary increases go in, we have health benefits and things like that increase, it gets eaten up very quickly. And so it just is not, it's not adding to what can be available for budgeted positions as we're supporting officers that are already employed.
Yeah, as the Prop P, if I may, as the Prop P came in, there was a kind of a mad dash out of the department, and it was to equal the metro pay scale. If I remember correctly, there was way more than 29, and people were just going where it paid more. So as she said, it brought the staff, they just got everybody up to speed to stop the exit. That was one of them. And kind of securing retirements made a difference for people not to leave or people to come to the department, is how I remember that. There was a lot of people going until we got up to where they couldn't just go across the line and about 20 grand more, whatever the difference was. And it was one of them to stop them from fleeing.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. When was the change made? You said that because the language was very clear when Prop P was passed, and you said there was a change. When was that change?
I don't remember the year off the top of my head, but it was, let's see, I started in September of 22, and I think it was, oh, do you remember?
2022, I believe.
Okay.
This is one I can answer.
Yay!
It was November of 22. The polls were cold that day.
Okay, and so that was a voting change. Because it was also very restrictive on how we could use this money. We couldn't even use it to do any recruiting to get additional police officers, only for the salary. So I'm trying to get my arms around how the money has gone back and forth to general fund and normal police officers. And so that's why I'm asking these questions.
Sure. I don't remember the exact language on the ballot. I can go grab my computer really quickly.
Or
and
you
let
can send
know.
it to, I mean,
Or
I don't
can
know that
send
it
to
needs to
you,
be
yes.
answered now.
Sure.
But if you will get us that information?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Proceed.
if I remember correctly, that when we updated the ballot language in 2022, it only paid for the salaries of the new hires. So we changed it where it would also pay to basically give them their equipment, like their car and their uniforms, because there wasn't enough money for that. So that's what the change was in 2022.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All right, thank you.
The other half of Prop P, in our last presentation this evening, the semi-annual report of the Animal Welfare Committee, Ted Lutz.
Greetings, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Ted Luce. I have been a member of the Animal Welfare Committee since last summer. Prop P was approved by voters in 2019, and 50% of the funds up to $750,000 adjusted for Consumer Price Index. Collection of these taxes began in January 2020, and the oversight is performed by the Animal Welfare Committee. These are the members that shown that were when this was voted on. There's been some changes, obviously, in that. Revenues and expenditures, fiscal year 2025-26 through February 26, we received revenues were $911,000. Expenditures, salaries and benefits, $544,873.82. Operating expenses, $15,494.32. Prop P, the funds from Prop P have enabled us to do some great things. We've taken in 1,520 animals, 4,864 pounds of Pet food has been donated to the public through the food pantry. We have over 12,000 Facebook followers, and we just started an Instagram page. One thing that really impressed me, we performed 158 TNR Operation Litterless surgeries. And TNR stands for, and I will look this up here. Trap, neuter, and release. And that's where we take what we call community cats or feral cats. We spay and or neuter them. We vaccinate them. And we do what we call ear tipping. We cut off the corner of their ears so we're not bringing out the same cats in that have been, processed. This really decreases the feral feline population. Finally, we've had over 9,597 volunteer hours. We've got a great group of volunteers at the animal shelter that I'm really proud. I was able to spend some time over there, get some training, and spend an afternoon over there, and it was very rewarding. It's the opinion of the members of the Animal Welfare Committee that the items and individuals funded by the Prop P use tax are in keeping with the program's intent, and that the use tax program is critical in supporting the work of the animal shelter. And with that said, are there any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Proceed.
this may be more for Christina.
Yes, Christina.
Christina Heinen, Health and Animal Services Director. How can I help you?
Pretty easy one off the top. Would it be easier for Independence to operate this shelter if we owned the facility and land outright?
Yes, absolutely. It would be so much easier. The county actually was out at the facility today.
Good.
Starting some much needed repairs. They are not done, so it is an ongoing thing. But yes, the county is not in there every day, so they don't have to learn or listen to, the fire alarm beeping constantly or the, no hot water coming out of faucets, those sorts of things.
Yeah. And we recently got a new full-time vet at the shelter, is that correct?
We did. Dr. Koss started with us just a couple of weeks ago, and she jumped right in.
Gotcha. And how has that changed how the shelter operates as far as ease of operation with a full-time vet?
So we had been for almost a full year having to transport animals from the shelter to local vets. That not only affected the shelter, but it affected our residents. We use our local vets for Operation Litterless and sometimes for TNR. Because our local vets were busy trying to help the shelter spay and neuter our animals and treat our animals, they couldn't see as many of those owned animals for Operation Litterless, so we had to cut back on that program some. This has made a huge difference for us.
Gotcha. And then just looking over the budget for the shelter, it's what was the budget when Great Plains was in charge of the shelter?
So the last year that Great Plains was there, their budget was $1.7 million. I believe they had one animal control officer who was part-time, who served unincorporated Jackson County. So it won't be apples to oranges necessarily to compare us, because we, of course, have our 4 animal control officers who serve unincorporated. We had those 4 officers at the time also when Great Plains was still operating.
Gotcha. So $1.7 million. And how long ago did Great Plains leave Independence?
2019, July 15th.
2019. So we've had a pretty high inflationary period since then.
Yes.
And how much do we now bring in per year? Is it more or less than $1.7 million?
We are right around that number, a little less. We operate on what I would consider a shoestring budget, and are constantly, we've had to decrease the number of staff members every single year since we've been in operation because of growing, not only just costs for health insurance and salaries, all of those fees, but of course during COVID, vaccine costs not only went up for humans, but they went up for animals also, and so those costs have exponentially risen. So we've had to cut back where we can.
Gotcha. And can you kind of touch on the long-term cost savings of spay and neuter, how that affects residents if we are able to increase a program like that?
Yeah, so spay neuter, of course, not only keeps owned animals from running at large, it keeps them home more often, which is less stray animals coming into the shelter, less time away from their families. For community cats, we have approximately 15,000 community cats in the city of Independence. It will take, if we were really, really serious about it and threw a lot of money at it, it would probably take about a decade to get those numbers down to where we could be in the same place that Oregon and Washington State are, where they're having to ship cats in because they don't have enough cats in their shelter. We would love for that to be the case, but we are aware that it is kitten season. We had 4 tiny little kittens come in just today.
And then what are some services offered for the general public by our shelter?
So of course, we have adoption, which we would love to push. We have our TNR program, Operation Litterless. Our pet food pantry is unfortunately really popular. We are constantly seeing the need amongst our population just to have that pet food in order to keep their families together. So we do all we can. I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few times when people have come and, you know, whether it's end-of-life decisions for their animals or needing, you know, any other assistance we can connect them with, we've been there.
Gotcha. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you. Can you talk about compassion fatigue with your employees?
So everyone who comes into this line of work does it because we all love animals. We love them so much. However, there are lots of really hard decisions that have to be made, whether it is because of medical or behavioral issues. We have lost so many staff because it is such an emotional roller coaster every single day. You know, everybody wants it to be, you know, a good, happy story and a happy ending, but that's not always the case. And it's really, really hard when, you know, you show up every day, you work 10-hour shifts, you see these animals every day, you care for them, you feed them, you take them for walks, you put them in play groups, and then, you know, you find out that they're not going to make it out. That is devastating for so many of our staff. Our animal services officers, of course, also see the worst of the worst. They see things that they know will be maybe a slap on the wrist for, you know, the actual court verdict. Living with that, recognizing that, still going through it. They, every single day, come back in trying to do their absolute best.
And so because of that, the staff turnover can be pretty high for those kinds of jobs.
Absolutely.
And so that makes volunteers really important.
Yes, our volunteers are wonderful. They come in, they help us from everything, from just making sure laundry gets switched over to spending that extra time. We have 6 animal care techs, which means on any given day, we're lucky to have 4. Most days we have 3. That works out to just about 12 minutes that each animal care tech can spend with an animal in a day. 12 minutes is not enough time to be spending with a pet. Those volunteers step in and help spend that quality time that we just don't have time for. We have, you know, those 6 animal care techs, and there was a study that came in, an outside group, and they said that we easily should have 13 animal care techs, which we can't afford.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. City Manager?
Thank you.
That's all we have.
All right. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could, before everybody leaves, if we can get a motion and second to adjourn.
Pardon me?
If we can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Thank you.
And a roll call vote.
I didn't.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, you can just say, we have concluded this meeting. Thank you for coming.
We have concluded this meeting. Thank you for coming tonight.